The Boston skyline glittered in the distance, snowflakes tumbling gently against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Victor Williams' apartment. The soft hum of the heater was the only sound until his phone vibrated sharply across the glass coffee table. The name on the screen made him smile. Mummy. Victor picked up immediately. "Hello, Mummy." "Victor, my son," came his mother's voice, warm but with an edge of seriousness. "I hope you are well." "Yes, Mummy, I'm fine. Just wrapping up some work here." There was a pause. Then she exhaled deeply. "Victor, we've discussed this before, and I will not keep quiet any longer. You've worked enough, studied enough, traveled enough. What your father and I want now is what money cannot buy." Victor leaned back, chuckling. "Mummy, are we back to that topic again?" "Yes," Gloria pressed. "You're 31 and not even a serious relationship yet. What are you waiting for? Your father and I want to see our grandchildren before we leave this world." Victor sighed, rubbing his temple. "Mummy, I hear you, but you know me. If I marry, it has to be to the right woman, not just anybody." At that moment, another voice entered the call. His father's, Chief Balaji Williams, billionaire shipping magnate, old-school patriarch, and the man whose name carried weight across continents. His voice was deep and commanding. "Victor," he said, "you know I will never choose a wife for you. A man must choose his partner himself. But hear me well. Choose carefully. Women today, many love wealth more than the man himself." Victor smiled faintly. "Then, Daddy, why don't you both pick one for me, since you know what's good?" Bolaji's laughter rumbled like distant thunder. "Never! That is your cross to carry. You are the one who will live with her, not us." Gloria's voice softened again. "Victor, why not consider some of the Nigerian girls abroad? There are good families here whose daughters would make fine wives." But Victor shook his head, even though they couldn't see him. "No, Mummy. The Nigerian girls here are different. Many of them have lost touch with our values. Party, club, social media, too wild, too fast. I want a wife who still carries the heart of home. If I must marry, it must be from Nigeria. I'll come back." There was silence. The weight of his words hung in the air. Finally, his father's baritone returned, calm but firm. "Victor, if that is your choice, then come home. But remember, not every girl you see in Nigeria is innocent either. Lagos is a jungle. Only the wise survive." Victor exhaled, as though destiny had been sealed in that moment. "Then I'm coming home." And with those words, his return to Nigeria was no longer just a holiday. It was the beginning of a mission. The Williams mansion in Ikoyi, Lagos, rose like a modern palace, a fortress of glass walls, polished marble, and manicured lawns. The driveway stretched wide, flanked by fountains and palm trees that swayed gently in the Atlantic breeze. On the day of Victor's return, the household was in a frenzy. Chauffeurs polished the sleek black convoy that had been sent to fetch him from the airport. Chefs hurried in the kitchen, preparing dishes fit for royalty. Gloria, dressed in her finest ivory lace, moved about with tears of joy threatening to spill. Victor's convoy rolled through the gates, engines humming in unison. As he stepped out, tall and refined, his mother rushed forward, arms wide. "My son!" she cried, hugging him tightly. Victor laughed, lifting her slightly off the ground. "Mummy, I missed you." His father, Chief Bolaji, followed at a dignified pace. Clad in a majestic white agbada, his gray hair neatly combed, he embraced Victor firmly, his cologne carrying the scent of wealth and authority. That evening, they gathered in the grand living room. Chandeliers glowed overhead, the ocean breeze drifting faintly through the terrace. Victor's parents sat across from him, their eyes studying him as though he were a prodigal prince returned. "Daddy, Mummy," Victor began once the plates had been cleared. I told you on the phone. I came back because I want to find a wife here in Nigeria." Gloria clapped her hands together, her face lighting up. "God be praised! Finally!" But Bolaji leaned back, fingers stroking his gray beard, his eyes sharp. "Victor, I am proud of your decision, but you must listen to me. Wealth is a magnet. You will not know who loves you for you, or who loves you for what you carry. Open your eyes, my son." Victor nodded. "I understand, Daddy. I don't want a wife who sees me as a bank account. I want someone who sees me as a man. That is why I am here." The following weekend, Victor met his childhood friends at a trendy bar in Victoria Island. The night buzzed with music, laughter, and clinking glasses. "So you really came back to Nigeria to look for wife?" teased Emmanuel, sipping his drink. Victor grinned. "Yes, I want something real." The whole table exploded in laughter. "Victor, wake up!" shouted Kaode, his old roommate. "This is Lagos. You think the girls here are saints? Forget it. Many are worse than the ones abroad." Another friend, Tolu, smirked. "If you want a decent girl, try church. At least there, some still pretend long enough for you to believe." The table roared again. But Victor didn't laugh. Something about that suggestion sank into him. Church. Maybe that was where he would find her. Later that night, back at the mansion, he told his parents. Gloria clasped her hands in prayer, nodding. "Church is not a bad idea," she said. "If you go with an open heart, God may lead you to the right woman." Bolaji said nothing. He only stared into the fire in the grand hearth, his silence heavy with unspoken thoughts. 2 Sundays later, Victor walked into Grace Diamond Assembly, one of the city's most vibrant new generation churches. The worship hall glittered with LED lights, the air alive with gospel music that felt like a concert. Young professionals filled the seats, their designer outfits blending faith with fashion. Victor slipped into a corner seat, trying to blend in, yet his eyes scanned the hall unconsciously. And then he saw her, Chisimdi. She sat near the front, her long, neat braids cascading down her back, her modest cream gown glowing softly under the lights. She wasn't trying to attract attention. Her eyes were closed, hands lifted gently in worship. But something about her radiated calm and grace. Victor's heart shifted. Something inside told him, this is not by accident. After service, he waited near the exit. When she passed, he smiled gently. "Hi, I'm Victor." She turned, and her smile disarmed him. Her dimples deepened as she replied, "Nice to meet you. I'm Chisimdi." The name rolled off his tongue like music. From that day, he became a regular at the church. Lunches followed after services, then phone calls, then long evening drives. She was soft-spoken, intelligent, and carried herself with dignity. Weeks turned into months, and Victor was convinced he had found his wife. One Saturday evening, over dinner at a quiet rooftop restaurant, he finally spoke. "Chisimdi, I didn't come back home for fun. I came to find a wife, and I believe you are the one." Her cheeks flushed. Her fingers trembled slightly against her glass. She didn't answer immediately, but the silence between them carried the weight of agreement. That week, Victor decided to take her home. When they arrived at the Williams mansion, Gloria received her with warmth, hugging her as though she were already a daughter. Chisimdi was awed by the house, and at one point she stopped before a large portrait of Chief Bolaji in flowing white agbada, gray hair gleaming, his face stern but dignified. "That's my husband," Gloria said proudly. "Victor's father." "Oh," Chisimdi murmured respectfully, bowing her head. Chief Bolaji, however, did not come down to meet her that day. He was upstairs, deep in a business call, though from the balcony above, he quietly observed her. He studied the way she walked, her mannerisms, the way she smiled politely at staff. He said nothing, retreating back into his study. That night, alone in his leather chair, Bolaji muttered to himself, "This girl looks decent, But I must be sure. Too much is at stake. I will not let billions fall into careless hands." His eyes shifted to his own reflection in the glass window. The gray-haired patriarch in Agbada would soon disappear. In his place, there would rise a different man, hair dyed black, clad in designer shirts and gold chains, sunglasses hiding his eyes. A man called Mr. Bayo, a sugar daddy. And through him, the truth about Chisimdi would be revealed. Chief Balaji Williams stood in front of the full-length mirror in his private dressing chamber. His agbada, heavy with embroidery, lay folded neatly on the couch. For decades, it had been his armor, the regal attire that announced his status everywhere he went. His gray hair was his crown, a mark of dignity and authority. But tonight, he was ready to shed that image. On the dresser before him was a small box of black dye. His valet, Musa, shifted nervously. "Oga, are you sure about this?" Musa asked, looking at the dye as though it were poison. Balaji's lips curled into a mischievous smile. "Musa, there are times a man must become what he despises in order to see what others cannot show him. Tonight, the world will not see Chief Balaji Williams, billionaire of Lagos. They will see Mr. Bayo, a man who can buy whatever he desires." Within an hour, the transformation was complete. His once gray hair was now a slick, jet black, combed stylishly like a man 20 years younger. He traded his agbada for a crisp Versace shirt, slim-fit designer trousers, and a gold wristwatch that gleamed under the chandelier light. Finally, he put on dark sunglasses, even though it was night. When he stepped into the family lounge, his wife Gloria gasped so loudly that Victor almost spilled his drink. "Balaji!" she cried, pressing her hand to her mouth. "What have you done to yourself?" Victor burst into uncontrollable laughter. "Daddy, you look like one of those lecky big boys trying to enter the music industry." Even the house staff, passing discreetly with trays, exchanged bewildered glances. Balaji only smiled, unfazed by their amusement. "What is wrong with change? Must a man look the same forever? Perhaps I want to feel young again." Victor shook his head, still laughing. "Daddy, if the board of your company sees you like this, they won't recognize you." Gloria wagged her head. "It is not bad, but I know my husband. He never does anything without a reason. Balaji, what is this for?" He gave her a sly smile, adjusting his sunglasses. "Gloria, sometimes a man needs to remind himself that he is still alive. Don't worry yourself." Neither mother nor son pressed further. They simply dismissed it as one of his eccentric experiments. But deep inside, Balaji's plan was unfolding. From that night, the respectable billionaire in Agbada ceased to exist, at least outside the walls of his mansion. Mr. Bayo, the sugar daddy, had been born. It began on a Wednesday, the kind of Lagos evening when the air smelled of rain and impatience. Chisimdi, no car, no chauffeur, only a tote and faith, stepped out of Grace Diamond Assembly's midweek service and turned toward the small supermarket by her street. She worked at a modest logistics office. Her salary could barely keep up with rent, food, and weekly hospital bills that chewed at her peace. But she kept her shoulders squared, face lifted, and braids neat, like a promise to herself. At the vegetable aisle, a quiet presence appeared beside her. Convertible Mercedes, tinted window, designer shirt, jet black hair, dark shades. "Good evening, fine lady," he said with a smile that didn't force itself. "Do you need a ride?" She glanced at him once, polite, alert, unmoved. "No, thank you. I'm fine." He didn't insist. He extended lilies wrapped in gold foil. "I'm Bayo. I saw you leaving church last week. I only wish to be your friend." "I don't accept gifts from strangers," she replied, steady as a level spirit. She stepped past, paid for her groceries, and left. He let the car idle for a beat, intrigued by how gently she'd refused. Then he signaled the driver and melted back into Lekki traffic. 2 days later, the rain came heavy and arrogant. Outside the office gate, a black umbrella appeared over her head before a drop could claim her face. "Permit me," the man said. The same scented cologne. The same calm. He walked her to the bus stop, refused to step closer than courtesy required, and when a tricycle arrived, he paid the fare before she could object. "Please," he said, voice low. "It's not a bribe, it's a courtesy." She handed the money back. "Thank you. But I prefer to pay for myself." "Noted." He smiled. A lady with standards. He didn't even ask for her number. He only tipped the driver and vanished into the rain. By the third encounter, the pattern felt deliberate. At a small cafe near her office, she approached the counter and learned her bill was already settled. She turned to find him at a corner table, sunglasses on, a newspaper he never read. "You paid for my coffee?" "I did, and I will accept a refund if it gives you peace." She paused, surprised. She walked to him, placed the exact amount on the table. "Please understand, Mr. Bayo, I've noticed you've been around a lot. I don't like it." "I understand," he said, palms raised as if surrendering. "You have a fiancé?" "Yes, and I love him." "Then I will behave myself," he replied, standing to leave. "Forgive the intrusion." He left the money behind, not touching a naira. She sighed. She paid the counter again and walked out into the brightness, a small cloud still pinned behind her eyes. That evening, Victor visited her tiny apartment for the first time in weeks. He brought suya and laughter, the kind that lifted ceilings. They ate on the floor because she had only 2 chairs. He loved that about her, simple, honest, unperformed. "There's something I should tell you," she said almost casually. "A man keeps showing up, always polite, offers little things. I've turned him down. I told him I'm engaged." Victor chuckled, easy and trusting. "Lagos men and their hunts. I trust you." "I know you do." She smiled, dimples shallow, eyes not fully happy. He studied her face. "You don't look free, like something is eating you." She leaned into him, then gently changed the subject. Asked about Boston winters, the parables of tech startups, his mother's gardenias. He let it go. For now. Elsewhere, the man in shades sat in a dim study that wasn't his own, watching silence like a scientist. "Musa," Chief Bolaji said, removing the shades at last. "We increase the distance. No more crowding her path. Something else will bring her closer." And so Mr. Bayo evaporated from her routine. Weeks passed, but the small cloud behind her eyes did not. In a stark hospital ward on the mainland, monitors beeped like patient metronomes. A boy of 16 lay shallow-breathed and swallow-thin. Somto, her younger brother. Kidney failure had stolen the fullness from his cheeks and replaced it with a pallor that made nurses lower their voices. "Your deposit has to clear by Friday," the doctor said, not unkindly. "Dialysis can hold him, but not forever. We need to prepare for the next step." "How much?" she asked, voice paper-thin. He wrote the figure. The number sat on the page, cold and impossible, a mountain built overnight. She stood at Somto's bedside, pressed his hand, and smiled until the tears found the floor. "Hold on for me, Na Anyi. I won't let go of you." That night, in the Williams mansion, Victor spoke to his mother in the sitting room. "I love her," he said simply, "but she carries something heavy. She keeps changing the topic when I ask." From the corridor's bend, Chief Bolaji paused in the shadow, adjusting a cufflink that needed no adjustment. He did not enter the room. He did not ask questions. He simply listened and let a plan arrange itself like chess pieces on polished ebony. The background check was swift and surgical. A discreet investigator, recommended by an old friend whose silence was guaranteed, returned with a manila file and a soft warning. "She's clean, sir. Works hard. Lives modestly. No nightlife. No hidden companions. The only anomaly is a hospital she visits often. Her younger brother is very ill. The family is drowning in bills." Bolaji said nothing for a long minute. He poured one glass of water, didn't drink it, and set it aside like a promise. "Thank you. That will be all." He stood at the window, watching the city glimmer as if it had money to spare. "Everyone has a price," he had once said, arrogant, sure, untested. Now he wondered if some prices were not greed but grief, payments demanded by life for the audacity of love. 2 days later, Mr. Bayo resurfaced with the elegance of a ghost. He didn't block her path this time. He arranged a chance meeting in the corridor of the hospital as she stepped out of Samto's ward, balancing a plastic cup of water and a stack of papers that could bankrupt hope. "We keep running into each other," he said softly. "No shades today, just reading glasses and an expression choreographed for empathy." "Are you all right?" She stiffened. "Please, not today." "Then just let me carry the papers," he offered, holding out a hand. He didn't touch her. He didn't look at her mouth or waist or anything that would humiliate her dignity. He carried papers. He walked beside her. That was all. Outside, near the hospital gate, the air smelled of dust and roasted plantain. She collected the file from him. "Thank you. Will you allow me to buy you water?" "No." "Food?" "No." "Silence, then?" He smiled gently. "I can afford that." She almost laughed despite herself. She didn't. She turned to leave. "Miss Chisimdi," he said, careful to pronounce her name correctly. "Whatever is wrong, I hope it bends in your favor." She walked away quickly, angry at him, angrier at herself for the momentary warmth his words sparked. That night the phone call came, a number she didn't recognize. She almost didn't pick. "Hello?" "Good evening," said the voice, smooth as a velvet bruise. "Bayo." "I told you. Please, 30 seconds, then you never have to hear from me again." Silence. He continued, measured, almost clinical. "There is an amount of money you need." Her throat closed. "I don't. You do, and I will give it to you, all of it, and more, no strings." She laughed, short and bitter. "Men like you don't give without strings." A beat. "You're right." He didn't pretend. "There is one condition. Meet me for a weekend, outside Lagos. We enjoy each other's company. Discreetly. Then it ends. You take the money. I disappear." She cut the call so fast her finger stung. She threw the phone on her bed and pressed both palms to her face until the room stopped spinning. For 2 days she fasted from sleep. She went to work like a ghost. She prayed with words that had no grammar. She sat by Samto's bed and watched monitors argue with time. She imagined Victor's face if she told him. She imagined the doctor's face if she didn't. She imagined the landlord's face when the rent and hospital receipts collided. On the second night after the nurse said, "If the deposit isn't ready by morning, we may have to move him to the general ward," something inside her cracked like thin ice. She took the card from her bag, the plain white rectangle Mr. Bayo stamped in black. She dialed. "I'll do it," she said, her voice a wooden thing. "But not in Lagos. Not where anyone can see me. Another city. You will send transport money. I come alone. We finish it and never speak again." "Anything for you," he said, and meant it in all the wrong ways. By Saturday, she boarded a quiet evening flight. She wore a long cardigan that hid more than fabric. She kept her eyes on the aisle, her heart on the clock, and her mind on a number with too many zeros. In her head, "Forgive me, God. Forgive me, Victor." A hotel in a city whose name we won't remember greeted her with a lobby too perfumed to tell the truth. The room was curated. Fresh lilies, low lamps, curtains that would swallow sound. What she didn't see were the tiny cameras, a wide one near the smoke alarm, another nested in the base of a floor lamp. Insurance for a man who preferred evidence to suspicion. He was gentle. Too gentle. That is how traps are built, like pillows. "You're shaking," he whispered. "Just transfer the money," she said, failing to steady her breath. "Do what you came to do. Then I'll go." He opened his banking app. He asked for her account. The alert arrived first, then the second, because he sent a little more than the exact deposit, just enough to make saying no feel ungrateful to survival. Her phone blinked, her soul dimmed. He touched her hand. She flinched. He didn't push. Time did. He drew her close, not with hunger, but with theater. He needed the frame, a hand on shoulder, her face turned, the suggestion that would later tell its own story without a single explicit image. Her eyes wet, his shirt crisp, the room obedient. When the camera had seen enough, he exhaled like a man who had climbed a difficult staircase. He stood, phone to his ear. "Urgent call," he said, tension scripted across his brow. "I have to step out. I'll call you. Please, go now. It isn't safe for you to linger." She stared, confused. "But go," he insisted, suddenly stern, the way fathers end stories. "Keep the money? Leave now." She left like a fire drill, shaken, nauseous, relieved, and ruined at the same time. In the taxi back to the airport, she blocked his number, deleted the message thread, and clutched her bag like a life jacket. Straight from the airport to the hospital, she walked receipts into reality. The deposit cleared. Somto slept easier that night. So did she for the first hour in many days, face to pillow, hands open like a surrender flag. Monday evening, the Williams family lounge. Gloria arranging fresh flowers. Victor in a simple tee, scrolling through a presentation he wasn't really seeing. Chief Bolaji entered without knocking, every inch the patriarch again. Gray hair restored, white agbada swallowing the neon sins of the weekend. He set a tablet on the glass table and pressed play. No sound, just pictures, a luxury room, two figures, a man's arm around a young woman's shoulder, her looking away, eyes wet, the wide lamp watching. Victor leaned forward, the world shrinking to a narrow tunnel. The woman turned slightly in the video, dimples, braids, a profile he knew better than his own. "Chisimdi," he whispered, the name breaking in his mouth. Gloria's hand flew to her chest. "Jesus!" "She has been meeting a man," Bolaji said, voice cool as a boardroom. "I offered her money. She accepted. With the condition you can see. I warned you, Lagos is a jungle." Victor's eyes flashed, red at the edges. Bolaji did not blink. He watched his son's face hunt for oxygen. Then he added, like a surgeon adding a final stitch, "She is not who you think she is, Victor." Victor stood too fast. The tablet rocked. "You tested her," he breathed. "You set her up." His chest rose and fell, an engine going wrong. You did this?" Bolaji's jaw tightened, the only confession he would allow. "I protected you." Victor's laugh arrived broken. "Protected me? You masqueraded as a sugar daddy to my fiancé?" He faced the screen again, choking on the evidence, an embrace staged for a lens that knew where to look. "She told me about a man. All this while, it was you." Gloria's eyes filled. The house seemed to lean to one side. Somewhere a clock ticked like fingernails. Victor turned away, swallowed a scream, and walked out before his grief said something it could not forgive. The night was heavy in the Williams mansion. Victor had locked himself in his wing, the tablet replaying the video over and over, each frame stabbing deeper than the last. He couldn't breathe. The woman in the footage, the one he had believed to be pure, unshakable, looked away from the camera with tears on her cheeks. His woman, his Chisimdi. He remembered her laugh when she told him about a man who keeps coming around. He remembered holding her hand and saying, "I trust you." He remembered her dimples flashing like sunlight, swearing she was not like the other Lagos girls. And now? This question mark by dawn, he had not slept. He drove himself, fast and reckless, across the Lekki Bridge until the city blurred. By noon, he was parked outside her modest apartment, staring at the peeling paint of the building, anger boiling beneath his skin. When she opened the door, her eyes lit up briefly. "Victor!" He pushed past her, tablet in hand. His face was not the face she knew. This one was carved by rage, disbelief, and heartbreak. "Who is he?" Victor demanded, his voice a whip. She froze, confused. "Who? Don't play dumb with me, Chisimdi." He slammed the tablet onto her small dining table and pressed play. The footage filled the room. Hotel curtains, a designer shirt, her sitting on the bed, eyes wet, his arm across her shoulder. Her knees buckled. She staggered back, hand over her mouth. Victor's voice cracked. "I trusted you. You told me you loved me, that you were not like them, and yet you—" His words choked. "You sold yourself to some sugar daddy." Her tears flowed instantly, trembling lips unable to form words. "Say something," he roared. She tried. "Victor, I... But the weight of shame crushed her voice. "You disappointed me," Victor whispered, softer now, but it hurt more than his anger. His eyes glistened. "I defended you before my friends. I told my parents you were different. And you—" He grabbed his head. "Do you know who that man is?" She looked at him blankly, confused. Victor's chest heaved. "That man is my father." The words dropped like a bomb. Her gasp filled the room. She staggered backward as if the floor had disappeared. No, that's not possible. Your father... But his portrait, he's..." Victor shook his head, broken laughter escaping like shards of glass. "Portraits don't lie. He dyed his hair, changed his clothes, but it was him. My father. And you let him..." He couldn't finish. She fell to her knees, sobbing. "Victor, please. I didn't want..." "Enough," he barked, pulling his arm away when she tried to touch him. "Don't lie to me anymore. You made your choice. And you chose money over love." The silence was unbearable. Her sobs filled the small room. Victor walked out, his footsteps like hammers, leaving her collapsed on the floor, clutching her stomach as if pain had taken physical form. Outside, the sun shone mockingly bright. But for Victor, the world was darker than it had ever been. For days, neither Victor nor Chisimdi could eat or sleep. Victor stayed in his room at the mansion, curtains drawn, phone switched off, drowning in a grief he couldn't share with anyone. Gloria knocked often, bringing food he never touched. She heard him pacing at night, heard the glass shatter once when he hurled it against the wall. She worried, prayed, but didn't press him. Balaji, on the other hand, walked with the cold pride of a man who believed he had saved his son. "Better pain now than ruin later," he told Gloria when she confronted him about Victor's condition. "Would you rather he marry a girl who can be bought?" Gloria only shook her head, grief written across her face. "Balaji, you've broken your son." Meanwhile, in her small flat, Chisimdi lived in torment. She had blocked every number, refused to step out, except to the hospital where her brother lay. Somto was stable now. The money had cleared. The doctors had hope. But each time she looked at him, guilt tore her apart. She had saved his life, yes, but at what cost? In the ward, she whispered prayers while holding his frail hand. "Forgive me, Somto. I couldn't tell Victor. I couldn't burden him. I did what I had to do." Her friends noticed the change too. She no longer laughed at choir practice. She avoided calls. She went through motions like a shadow. One evening, as she stood on her balcony, she whispered to herself, "Even if Victor never forgives me, at least Somto will live. That is enough." But tears streamed down her face, betraying the lie. Back at the mansion, Victor confided in his mother one late night when she found him on the terrace, staring at nothing. "Mummy," he said, his voice raw, "she betrayed me. She went to bed with another man, my dad, for money." But thank God nothing happened between them, she said. But it almost happened. If Daddy has allowed it, she would have done it. Definitely, if it wasn't Daddy, she would have slept with another man. Gloria sat beside him, resting a gentle hand on his back. "Victor, are you sure you know everything?" He turned, bitter. "I saw the video." Gloria sighed. "Even videos have stories behind them. My son, I don't know why, but something tells me there's more." Victor looked away, jaw tight, unwilling to hear anything but his pain. That night, Gloria lay awake, her heart heavy. She resolved that if Victor wouldn't search for answers, then she would. On a humid Friday morning, a gentle knock came at Chisimdi's door. She wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, she opened and froze. Standing there was Madame Gloria Williams, regal in a simple cream wrapper, eyes kind but piercing. "Good morning, my dear," Gloria said softly. "May I come in?" Chisimdi's legs nearly gave way. She hurriedly cleared a chair, embarrassed by the smallness of her home, the cracked tiles, the modest furniture. Gloria sat gracefully, surveying the room not with judgment, but with curiosity. "My son is breaking," Gloria began quietly. "He hasn't eaten. He hasn't smiled. He barely sleeps. You did something that hurt him deeply. But I came today not as his mother, but as a woman who wants to understand." Tears welled instantly in Chisimdi's eyes. She sank to her knees before Gloria. "Mummy, please, forgive me. I never wanted this. I love Victor with all my heart." "Then why?" Gloria asked gently. "Why did you meet that man? Why did you take his money?" Chisimdi sobbed, shaking. Because my brother is dying." Gloria's eyes widened. "Somto," she whispered. "He has kidney failure. The doctors said without deposit he would not survive. I didn't want to burden Victor. I didn't want him to think I loved him because of money. I prayed. I cried. I begged God. Then, that man came. He offered me exactly what I needed. I swear I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to save Somto." Her body shook with grief. "I didn't even let him touch me. I cried the whole time. All I wanted was to take the money and leave. I thought I could bury it forever. But I didn't know. It was Victor's father." Gloria's breath caught. The pieces fell together. Her husband's disguise, his sudden hair dye, his new clothes. It all made cruel sense. She bent down and lifted Chisimdi up. "My dear, you should have told Victor, love is not just for good days. It is for burdens, too." "I was ashamed," Chisimdi whispered. "I didn't want to look like all those girls after money. I wanted him to believe in me." Gloria embraced her tightly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Oh, my daughter. My stubborn husband thinks he was protecting his son, but he has destroyed 2 souls instead. Leave this to me. I will talk to him. And to Victor. The truth must come out." For the first time in weeks, Chisimdi felt a small flicker of hope. As Gloria rose to leave, she touched her cheek gently. "You are not a bad girl, my dear. You were just desperate. But love deserves truth. I will help you." When the door closed behind her, Chisimdi collapsed again, praying silently. "God, please, let this be the beginning of healing." That night, Gloria returned to the Williams mansion with a storm hidden in her heart. She had listened to Chisimdi's trembling confession, seen the hospital papers with her own eyes. She knew the truth now, not just the surface truth of a staged video, but the deeper one. Desperation, sacrifice, and love caught in a trap. At dinner, the table was quiet. Victor pushed his food around his plate, eating nothing. Balaji sipped wine slowly, watching his son from the corner of his eye. Gloria set her cutlery down firmly. "We need to talk," she said. Both men looked up. "Victor," she began softly, "what if I told you that girl you loved did not betray you for greed, but for love? For the life of her younger brother?" Victor frowned, his fork clattering onto the china. "Mummy, please. I saw the video with my own eyes." "Yes. You saw her in a hotel room. You saw her take money. But did you ask why? Do you know what she used it for? Victor's chest rose and fell heavily. Mummy, I don't want excuses. Gloria turned her eyes to her husband. And you, Balaji, you already knew, didn't you? You knew she was struggling, that her brother was dying, that the bills were drowning her. That's why you set that particular trap. Balaji's hand froze on his glass. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, with a sigh as heavy as iron, he nodded. Yes, I knew. Victor's head snapped up. You knew? Daddy, you knew and you still... I knew. Balaji cut in, voice low but steady. And I wanted to see if she would stand firm regardless. A decent girl, no matter the storm, should never compromise herself. Not for money, not for sickness, not for anything. Victor stood, trembling with anger. So you played God. You put her in an impossible corner, and now you act like you're justified? Gloria's voice rose suddenly, sharp as a whip. Balaji! Enough! Both men turned to her, startled. She rarely raised her voice. She is a decent girl, Gloria said firmly, but she is also human. Do you know what it means to watch your younger brother dying? To hear doctors say he will not live without money you do not have? Tell me, Balaji, if it were Victor in that hospital bed, and you had nothing, what would you do? The question silenced the room. Even Balaji's eyes faltered. Gloria pressed on. Thank God you did not sleep with her. Thank God her dignity was not destroyed completely. But remember this, it was not greed that led her there. It was desperation. May we never find ourselves in tight corners where life forces us to compromise. Victor sat back down slowly, breathing hard. His mother reached across the table and took his hand. My son, love is not tested by perfect conditions. It is tested by storms. If you love her truly, then find a place in your heart to understand, forgive, and rebuild. Tears stung Victor's eyes, but he said nothing. Victor could not sleep. His mother's words echoed like a song he couldn't shake. He replayed every memory with Chisimdi, the way her face lit up when he surprised her with roasted corn on the roadside, the way she hummed during long drives, the way her eyes dimmed whenever he asked what was wrong. Her brother, he thought. She was carrying it all alone. By dawn, he had made a decision. He showered, dressed simply, and drove himself across the city. At Chisimdi's flat, she opened the door cautiously. When she saw him, her lips parted, but no words came. He stepped inside silently. The air was heavy with unspoken grief. Victor, she whispered, voice trembling. He turned to her, eyes wet. Why didn't you tell me? Her knees buckled, and she sat on the edge of her couch, burying her face in her hands. Because I didn't want you to think I loved you for money. Because I wanted to carry it myself. Because I was ashamed. Victor knelt before her, lifting her chin gently. Chisimdi, love is not just about laughter. It is about burdens, too. If you had told me, we could have carried it together. Tears rolled freely down her cheeks. I was wrong. Forgive me. He pulled her into his arms, and for the first time in weeks, they both wept. Not from anger, but from release. 2 days later, Gloria arranged a meeting at the mansion. Victor arrived with Chisimdi by his side, her head bowed in humility. Balaji sat at the head of the living room, his agbada white as snow, his face unreadable. Gloria broke the silence. Balaji, today we must end this war. Victor has chosen forgiveness. Now it is time for you to accept the truth of what happened. Chisimdi knelt on the rug before Balaji. Sir, I am sorry. I know I disappointed you. I know I should have been stronger. But I swear to you, I love Victor. I never wanted his money. I only wanted to save my brother. Balaji's eyes softened briefly, though his jaw remained tight. You are young, and you do not yet understand how the world judges. Choices leave scars, whether or not intentions are pure. But he looked at his wife, who met his gaze steadily. Perhaps Gloria is right. Perhaps the test was too cruel. Perhaps you deserve another chance. Chisimdi bowed her head lower, tears soaking her hands. Victor spoke, voice firm. Daddy, I love her, and I will stand by her. This will not break us. It will make us stronger. Balaji exhaled slowly. Then so be it. But remember, Victor, marriage is not a fairy tale. It is fire and water. If you are ready, I will not stand in your way. Gloria smiled through tears. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you. That evening, the Williams household felt lighter. Gloria personally served food, insisting everyone eat together. For the first time in weeks, Victor laughed softly. Even Balaji managed a faint smile. When Chisimdi rose to leave, Balaji surprised everyone. He handed her an envelope. For Somto's treatment, not as a test, but as family. Her eyes widened, and she dropped to her knees again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Victor helped her up, and their hands remained clasped tightly, united once more. Weeks later, Victor accompanied Chisimdi to the hospital. For the first time, Somto smiled when he saw them enter. His cheeks had filled out, his eyes brighter. Is this him? Somto whispered weakly, pointing at Victor. Yes, Chisimdi said with a small laugh. This is him. Victor leaned down, holding the boy's hand. I'm your brother now, too. And I promise you, you're going to be all right. Somto's eyes glistened. Thank you. Thank you both. Victor turned away slightly, swallowing his tears. For him, the decision was final. He would fight for this family, no matter what. Months later, the Williams mansion glowed with life. Preparations for an engagement were underway. Gloria supervised decorations, smiling at every detail. Balaji, though still stern, had accepted Chisimdi as family. In a quiet moment, Gloria pulled her aside. My daughter, remember what I told you. May we never find ourselves in situations so tight that we are forced to compromise. But if storms ever come again, share them. Do not carry them alone. Chisimdi hugged her tightly. I promise, Mummy. As music filled the house, Victor took her hand, his eyes shining with renewed love. We almost lost each other, he whispered. But now nothing will separate us again. And with that, their story, born in deception, scarred by temptation, redeemed by truth, moved into a new chapter of love, family, and forgiveness. Life will always test us, not with easy choices, but with impossible ones. And this story reminds us that true love is not about perfection, but about forgiveness, honesty, and understanding. If you were in Victor's shoes, what would you do? Would you forgive Chisimdi or walk away forever? Let's talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. And make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.